All right, everybody, welcome back to the TuVues podcast. It's me, Dr. Keith, alongside Billy Blanks. My fault, me, KFG. And we got two special guests here that I'm going to have KFG introduce here. But we just glad to be back with y'all again today for another good podcast. It should be another good one, controversial but good, right, brother?
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about gender roles. And so me and Keith were talking about doing this topic. And it just didn't make sense to not have women involved in this topic, right? To give their opinion. So we have two beautiful young ladies right here, Anisha Lindsay and Brandy Jackson. Y'all can say hello to the people.
Hello, everybody.
Don't be nervous. Just shake it out. It's all good. All right. Well, we're gonna this topic, like he said, is gonna be controversial. That's not really controversial, but everybody has their own opinion on it, right? Everybody has their own belief and opinion on it. I guarantee you there's going to be some agreements and disagreements in this topic, but hey, that's what TuVues is all about. Stating how you feel.
I ain't never wrong, but
yeah. You wrong. You wrong when you said you had a neck.
I got a neck now because I had surgery.
All right, so y'all know how we start this off, man. TuVues, KLG's top five. Keep supposed to give me that or whatever. You too late.
It's time for KFG top five. Man, that was whack, man. Get started.
Yeah, it was too late to do it though, bro. All right, so today's top five is going to be an interesting one. So a very interesting one because I feel like this topic, like there's so many great vocalists out there, but we'll see what people got on their list. So top five today is top five female vocalists of all time. Now, I want to be clear about the top five female vocalists. I didn't say entertainer. I didn't say female vocalists. Vocals.
Yes, make that clear.
Flat out say. All right, that's what we're talking about. Who want to jump it off first?
Ladies first. So
that's right.
Go ahead.
Hey.
Okay. So I have 3 honorable mentions.
I got more than that.
Gladys Knight.
Oh my
Love
God!
her.
Leaving.
This is my list.
Right.
She has the perfect tone and range. I just love her voice. Calm down, Kevin. CeCe Winans.
Ooh, that's
I
good.
about CeCe. Okay.
She has a very good voice as well. I love her new album. I have a lot of her music. This next one, honorable mention, y'all gonna be like, what the heck? Ariana Grande.
Girl, if you don't get you.
On her.
Okay.
She is a really good singer. I listen to some of her music as well. The top, you're gonna be like, what the heck? Okay, so coming in at number 5, I have Christina Aguilera. She is another.
No, she powerful. She not on my list, but I gotta give it to her. It's not a bad pick.
Okay, go ahead. Keep
starting
going.
out with she was on the Mickey Mouse Club. Like starting there at the young age, she had powerful vocals, and she just gradually, as she grew as an adult, they got better and better. Number 4, Celine Dion, another one that has a beautiful voice. Her range is perfect to me.
I like Celine Dion, but vocalist though, vocals, yes. Okay. Hey, wait for your turn. You go get your turn to your top.
All right.
Number 3, Kiki Wyatt. I feel like sometimes she can be underrated. She has a beautiful voice. I like her as well. Number 2 is Mariah Carey. She has a very good voice as well. And number 1 is Whitney Houston. I love me some Whitney. I'm so
disappointed in
she can
list.
Outsing anybody. She can do no wrong in my eyes, vocally.
That's I'll rate that list a D-.
No, I give it a solid. I give it a B-. I thought it was decent.
Okay, your turn, Miss Jackson. What you got for us?
Ooh.
I
What was
totally
that?
loved her list. She threw some good ones in there, and I'm in 100% agreement. Kiki Wyatt has been slept on, underrated for some time. Um,
Mhm.
my list in no particular order. I told y'all I got a strong two, but I did jot down a few other names. And that was one of my biggest things. Yeah, we know we have some artists that showmanship can put on a good artist show, but what about your vocals? So of
Mhm.
course, Whitney Houston. I even ran across Anita Baker, Brandy, and not just because her name sounds like mine, spelled different, but
Brandy can
Kiki
sing.
Wyatt made my list. Another one that slept on, Tamia. Her vocals
Mm.
for me are amazing. And Mariah Carey.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
Good
Okay,
list.
that's. I will rate that list. I ain't gonna rate. I ain't gonna do you wrong.
Hey, Kev, you're gonna be mad at mine because mine's kind of similar to Anisha. To be
Go
honest
ahead.
with you,
I'm
I'm gonna go with my
finna.
honorable mentions. I'm gonna go. I just did 2 honorable mentions because I think there's a good 15 honorable mentions, right? So I'm gonna go with 2 that I heard nobody say because we talking vocalists. We talking about just
Vocals.
vocalist tone, power. My 2 honorable mentions are Jennifer Hudson and Aretha Franklin.
Ooh, Jennifer Hudson.
Yeah,
Ooh, that
I
girl
got
can
you.
sing.
Jennifer Hudson and Aretha Franklin.
Ooh.
But like I said, it could be 15 in the honorable mention.
Yeah.
But Jennifer Hudson, we talking about powerful vocals. I thought if you go back and listen to her on American Idol, man, that girl could sing. I got Anita Baker as my 5. All right, got Anita Baker. My 4 is Etta James. Etta James is gonna be my 4. My 3, I think my top 3 are like Anisha's, but they're in different order. So I got Mariah Carey as 3. I got Kiki Wyatt underrated as 2. We talking vocals. I got Kiki Wyatt as 2, and of course I got my girl. I'm gonna be a Whitney fan till the day I die. So I got man. If you because Whitney can sing anything. She can go pop. She can go R&B. She can go gospel. She gonna rock it. So Whitney gonna be my number 1 of all time. Anybody ever gonna touch number 1 for Whitney? Sorry, it's me. Sorry, but I think Kiki Wyatt is slept on. Kiki Wyatt is slept on, man. You talking about
Now,
power, man? She
hey,
slept on.
now let the champion go. Let the champion go.
Here we go.
So I actually have 4 honorable mentions.
No, man. We said we can go over. We can go over 3, man. You cheat,
Let me have
man.
a 4. Let me have a 4. All right. So my one of my lowest one. Y'all ain't gonna agree with this, but Selena. I think Selena vocally has solid
Hey, man.
vocals.
Hey, podcast over,
Right?
man. Hey,
Nope. Selena has solid
man.
vocals. Now,
All right.
I'm gonna keep going. I do agree with Nisha. Celine Dion is on this list. Celine Dion is an honorable. She gets vocals. Don't sleep on Celine. But then I got
I
Betty
would put
White.
Adele over Celine Dion vocally.
Oh, you lost your mind. Anyway, let me keep
Vocally?
going. Betty White. Hey, man, let me get my list, man. Betty White.
All right.
Betty Wright. You know Betty Wright, Key. That we grew up on
Betty,
Betty
yeah.
Wright. Y'all know some
No,
Betty
man.
Wright, boy.
No, man. Yeah.
You know,
Rest
Betty-
in peace. You know?
And
Rest
then
in peace,
my
man.
last honorable mention is Sade. Like, come on.
Yeah,
Sade
I get
has
that.
vocals.
Yeah, I forgot about her. Yeah.
But Betty, you
Right,
right,
now-
Betty.
now
Betty,
let me
Betty,
get-
oh.
Let me get into my top 5, and y'all made me so mad with y'all list. And y'all list ain't wrong, because I think like this women's list there's so many good women vocalists out there. It crushes the men vocalists. Like it's not even you can't even compare the vocals of the men list to the woman list. It's crazy. But my number 5 is Aretha Franklin.
I can roll with that.
Aretha. My number 4 is Patti LaBelle. Like, what are we doing here, people?
Oh,
My
Patty,
number-
or like new Patty.
Patty, sang
Her voice.
Patty. Sang Patty. And her pies. And her pecan pie too. I think she got it. Anyway, my number 3 is Mariah Carey. Yes, I said 3. She's my 3.
She my
And
three too.
And I don't care what y'all say about this 2 and 1. This is the order. I don't care what y'all say about this 2 and 1. Number 2
Let
is
Whitney
Whitney
be 2.
Houston.
Man, you lost
Whitney
your
Houston
mind.
is
Number
number 2. You heard me. Whitney Houston is number 2.
I want to hear who number 1. I want to hear number 1.
Number 1 is a blasphemy that Anisha said. Gladys Knight is the greatest woman vocalist of all time.
Hey man, get off the podcast, man.
Gladys
she
Knight
can sing over Whitney.
Gladys Knight is the greatest female vocalist of all. I want y'all to go listen to some Gladys. And then go listen to Whitney. Don't listen to Whitney for her good songs where everybody like to hit. Go compare. Go listen. Go listen to a Whitney song that ain't on the radio and a Gladys song that ain't on the radio. I guarantee you're gonna hear something from Gladys that comes from the spirit. It comes from her spirit.
Man, I wouldn't put Gladys over Kiki Wyatt. Vocally, I wouldn't do. I just wouldn't do it.
Different too, like her range to me is like deep, like Sade's.
Hey, yeah, but y'all all leaving on the midnight train to Georgia. It's all
leaving on the midnight train.
Gladys Knight. I told y'all this list. And I knew that this top 5, it could win everywhere, man. Because, I mean, it's so many great female vocals. I mean, it's crazy. Just even making up the list. That's why I got 4 honorable mentions. It was hard to do. And even in my honorable mentions are controversial. But anyway, it was like all y'all had great people on y'all list. Ain't none of y'all people greater than Gladys. Y'all believe Gladys?
Whitney. But I think Gladys she had the good one that I think slips under the radar. That's Christina Aguilera. I think that she's so underrated for the power of her voice, man.
Oh, you are right.
She's so underrated.
You are right. She ain't in no top 5. She ain't
she's top 5. She honorable mention, but
no, she was in.
Yeah, she ain't in the top 5.
She is at least the top 5. She ain't in no top 5.
Do it.
And then Ariana Grande, girl, if you don't go somewhere.
Yeah, that one. I can't roll with you on that one.
Oh.
Can't roll with you on that one.
All right, man. That's KLG's top 5, man. Hey, y'all go home, make your own list. I guarantee you, anybody go try to make this list. All these lists gonna vary. Everybody list gonna vary because of female.
That better right though, man.
Because everybody gonna have somebody different. People might throw Beyonce in there, which I would disagree. Somebody threw Beyonce in their list.
Great performer.
Yeah, totally disagree.
No.
Hey, but
she a great Kelly over Beyonce.
I'll take Michelle over both.
Me too. Vocally, no, Kelly the best vocally in my opinion.
No, Michelle can sing her butt off. But yeah, everybody list gonna vary. Try to make your own list, man. But I don't see anybody list being perfect. Everybody list gonna be what it is. I mean, you can actually make
tight.
You actually can make a top 50 and it be a struggle. I can name a whole bunch of women vocalists that'll be crazy, but even the top 50 would be tough. So that's the top 5.
That's a good one too, though.
No, leaving off J Hud was J Hud can sing.
No, Tamia was a good one though.
All right, man. Let's jump into the topic. Like we said, we're gonna talk about a very interesting topic. A very in this day and age, it's a little bit this topic is can cause some tension in relationships and in just regular life. So we're gonna talk about gender roles and the history of them and what we believe they are. Should they still be considered? And it's how we value them on our respective levels. So we'll start off first. Like, what is gender roles? Like, Keith, I'm gonna ask you this: how would you define the gender roles? How would you define it?
So you want me to define it as what we see it as in general terms, or get into the history of it? Because I think it's critical. I gotta stop saying critical. So I'm gonna stop saying critical in the podcast. Right. But I think when you talk about gender roles, there's specific defined expectations for members of a specific gender within a relationship, right? It's defined. It's things we usually don't sway from. Their expectations of a specific individual of a different of a gender makeup. For instance, there's the role of let's do something simple like taking out the trash. Generally, that's a gender role for a man, right? But historically, do I want to get I don't know if I want to get into the historical piece of it until I argue my point on which side I fall on with gender roles, because mine has a historical connection on why I stand where I stand.
So let's just get into that then, because that's the whole purpose.
Yeah, let's
of
just
this
jump
podcast.
into it.
It's to discuss gender roles. So let's do it. So go into your how you feel about them and what's your go into the hits, whatever you want to do. Anybody can jump in, but if you want to go first, Keith, and then we can just bounce off each other and see who want to go next.
So the question is gender roles, and I think we're going to focus of do you believe in them or don't you believe in them, or the expectation. And the reason so I'm gonna say now I don't believe in gender roles. I don't believe in gender roles in any capacity. I think that work should be shared. I think the Bible was very clear when it says submit one to another. Let's talk about it in a historical context, right? Historically, it was a use of the matriarchal society to keep women below their stature, right? It was used as a tool to make sure women knew they were of a lower status of men. Even if you think about when they convened in Constantinople and started creating the Bible, a lot of their arguments was about some of the pieces of the Bible that gave women more power and strength, as far as their stature within communities, within society, within the judicial system. A lot of people don't understand that Deborah was a judge, right, in the Bible, and so she had a lot of stature in that case as well. But a lot of that was used to keep women down. But as we get further in the discussion, I want to talk about how now it's being manipulated on both sides as a tool of control, and it's even moving to an element of servitude, which is not fair to any race. I mean, race, any culture, any gender. And so I'm not a fan of gender roles. I think if you're going to be in a relationship, I believe it's 100-100. I don't believe in 50-50 either. I believe it's 100-100. And I think there's certain things but now this I think this is what you're going to get into, Kevin. There's certain things that I do believe men should do that I believe men should do, but I don't say that's a role. It's something that I just believe as a man I want to take. I believe I should do this. I don't think I'm held to an expectation to do it. I think a gender role is an expectation to do. And so that's where I stand. I just think a lot, the historical context of it is just a patriarchal societies that have, that want to keep the male as the dominant, gender in a relationship. It's my opinion.
Okay. Anisha, Brady, you doing here?
Well, for me, I agree with what was said. But for me, growing up, the quote unquote gender role was, or what my household looked like, or what society said, the man goes out, he's the breadwinner. The woman stays home, she takes care of the children. She cooks, cleans, she does all those household / wifely duties. And for me, growing up, both my parents worked, but my mom, she did cook. She did clean. We were responsible for certain chores. My dad went out. He worked 2 jobs. He brought his check home. My mom was over the finances. So they did what they did to set themselves up for success. You know, everybody don't think like that. Some households, especially for me, coming from a single mother, being a single mother, where I did everything. I was the breadwinner. I was the cook. I was the cleaner. I was the Uber to get the kids back and forth. I did everything. So now being remarried in a structured home where that, what you would call quote unquote gender role, doesn't work to a certain extent for me, because my husband takes on a bulk of everything, because his hours are sufficient enough to be able to be home at a certain time to get the dinner started, get kids to different practices. And I just let him take over certain things because I know what I'm good at. So before I think I can take on certain things, I said, okay, this is what I'm good at. I'll let you handle certain things. But I don't have a problem with doing certain things. And I had to, when I got remarried, relinquish some of those things because I'm a single mother doing everything, that independency, I had to kind of relinquish some of it to be able to work cohesively with my husband. So yeah, gender roles do work, but it's about that conversation that you have with your partner as to what the expectations of each one of you are.
Like that. Miss Lindsay?
I totally agree with Brandy. Depending on the situation that you're in with households, it's about having that, conversation with one another. Growing up in my household, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, so and my dad worked, and then he came home, and she was also over the finances. But as far as like, she picked up kids, she picked us up from school, she cooked, she cleaned, but she never like went out and worked. So that was my dad's aspect of it. But I feel like depending on what situation you're in, that's the conversation that you would need to have. But I guess it all depends.
Yeah, but I 100% agree with both of you. I just want to make sure that I think the reason why I started off with that historical piece for me was that because I 100%, you guys are 100% right. But I think the key thing is gender roles, right? It's okay to be in a relationship and have roles. For instance, I think about me and my ex-wife, right? Keith can't cook. I'm learning, y'all. I'm learning how to cook. I'm doing good too. But I was raised by a single mom who taught us she technically did teach us how to cook, but how to sew, wash dishes, sweep, sort clothes, wash, like all the stuff that society used to consider the gender role for women, we learned how to do. And so in our house, I just did what was needed to be done. The only thing I couldn't do was cook. So, right. So Maxine took on the cooking duties because I can't cook. But when it came to laundry for the whole house, I did laundry for the whole house. When it comes to make sure everything's clean, I just think so often society still believes in like these actual roles for you based on your gender. Like, I'm the man, so you should be taking out the garbage. I think if the garbage piling up, whoever see the garbage piling up should take it out. You should be the kid. Your kids should be taking out the garbage first of all. But I just think our society, and especially American society, because you got to understand, we are definitely a super patriarchal society. Look at our politics, right? And I just think we focus on just, this is what the woman should be doing. This is what the man. No, it's okay to have roles in your house, but when it becomes defined by gender, I think that's where it crosses the line for me. I don't think you should be doing something just because you're male or female.
Well, y'all know this TuVues podcast, and you know me being Kevin. What I'm about to say, and I get what everybody's saying, but what I'm about to say is to spark up this conversation, right? Devil's advocate type style. So I believe in gender roles. Hear me out when I say this. This is what I mean. I can define for me as a male what I think men should do. And we already had the discussion how I feel about men protecting, providing, professing. I think a man should have a job more. This is what I feel men should do. And that's specific to men. This is what men should do. I don't think men should be sitting at home playing video games. They should be out there working. I believe certain things should happen, men should have to do. But that's for men. I can't define the gender role for women because I'm not one. But for me, I define a gender role for men because I am one. I have certain expectations. My son will have specific. I will instill in my son to do certain things that I feel like a man should do. But I can't do that same thing for a woman because I'm not one. I don't know what a woman should do or shouldn't do, but I do from my own thought process and from my biblical thinking and my just the way things are. I think a man should get a job. I think a man should protect their families. I think a man should handle their household. Like I think men has to have certain specific jobs. That's just me. And here's my question to y'all. If that's my thought process, and I'm not telling women what they should do. I can't tell a woman you should stay at home, you gotta cook, clean, wash a kid. I can't say that. But here's a problem that I have with people that are totally against people having gender roles. And this is me being devil's advocate. Don't take everything I say like, but if a relationship has gender roles established, is anything wrong with that? If you and your mate come together and say, yep, I believe a man should do this, and I believe a woman should do this, can anybody on the outside critique what y'all decided on those gender roles?
Their opinion looking from, excuse me, the outside. Whether, I mean, I don't, if it works for that couple, then it shouldn't, they shouldn't be judged because it's what works for them.
Absolutely. And people are going to have an opinion regardless. You know what I'm saying? Good, bad, or indifferent. People are always going to have something to say. But at the end of the day, like Anisha said, if it works for my household, unless you're trying to come in and offer up a couple of dollars on a bill, I might take what you're saying into consideration. Otherwise, like I always say, this would be the great opportunity for you to shut thine own mouth and let me do what I do at my house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you guys are so right. I just I don't know. We just becoming just such a judgmental society, and to each their own. If that's what you want to do you, boo. And first of all, gender. If you said here's the key thing you said though, and I'm gonna push back on your earlier stuff in a second. But you said if you two agree upon those gender roles, right? I think sometimes gender roles are forced.
But that's my problem is that even when people agree that that's the general or what women should do and what men should do, when people agree, they're criticized for it.
Right,
and that's why
right, and that's what I'm saying. Like in the instance that you're saying that this couple agreed. I'm not gonna now. You trying to force something upon somebody? Then I'm not. There's some issues with that, but that's still between you and that person to work out. Who am I to jump in your relationship and tell you to do anything? But on your comment about believing in gender roles and you have these expectations of what a man should do, I'm gonna push back on you and tell you that's not a gender role. You have set some expectations there. You have set some expectations to what you think a man should do. It's not gender role, right? A gender role means you have these two people in a relationship and you're going to take on, like she sees you taking on these tasks and expectation and you see her taking on these tasks and expectation. When you generally have expectations for you just as a man, it's just expectation. There's not a role. It's just expectation you have for yourself.
I see it as a role because y'all know me. We talked about this before. I won't deter from that role and that's just in a role for me. That's why I'm saying it's a gender role because I don't have that as just a role for me. What I'm saying, all men. That's right. All men,
right?
To do certain things. That's my belief.
But that's it's your belief, and it's more of a position you take. Right, because when the word role itself is plural, it's dual, right? So it's hard to call that a gender role when it's singular. It's you, right? And so, but you're right about the couples. We get to the point where we know. I know we always we throw the Bible in a little bit, but it's about looking at that speck in somebody else's eye when you got a plank in yours, right? No relationship is done perfectly. If it was done if we had because I thought I was doing the right thing with all the changes I was making in my marriage. Look at me, look where I'm at now, right? So for you say that for any relationship to say that we're doing it the right way and this is how everybody else should do it, yeah, they're fooling themselves. And so there is no perfect person. There is no perfect relationship. And for me to criticize your relationship because y'all decide to have gender roles and say this is what the woman is going to do, this is what the man is going to do, I don't know. I just feel like you're a hypocrite, in my opinion.
So let me ask you this, Keith. What is an example of what you think the gender role is, since Kevin has his expectations and you're saying that?
So I think gender roles is specific defined expectations for another, right? So Kevin said he couldn't speak to the gender roles of a woman, right? And I think in order to have gender roles, it has to be dual. It has to be what is the role for the woman and what is the role for the man. If I can't speak to the role of the other gender, then it's just an expectation for how I'm gonna personally look at the expectations for a man, right? Because I can't be in a.
But that's why I consider mine a gender role, because you keep saying I. I'm not just saying I. I'm saying all men. My thought process is all men.
Okay, so let's give me one of your controversial gender roles. I'm gonna see if I can put it into context. One that you may consider like people may not agree with.
I want to put this in the right phrase, because I don't want to say all men should be the breadwinners, because there's plenty of relationships where the wife is making more money. But I think all men should work. Like, all men should have a job. They should have a job bringing home money. All men. All men. That's just how I feel about it. So, whether it's more than the wife or not, you should. If it go biblical, what's the first thing God did for Adam? He gave Adam a job.
Correct.
You are to name these animals. The first thing men were given was a job.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So every man should work. So every man should work, right? Yeah. So let's say I get married. We realize as a couple that my job, let's say I'm working, I'm making minimum wage, and we realize my job, I make less a year than the cost of our child care. So, but my wife it's a tire breadwinner, and so we decide that I'm gonna be the stay-at-home dad. I'm not working. Right. See, that's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. So that's why we got to be careful with gender roles, because I also believe that I have a belief that a man should make enough money. This is just my personal belief, that I believe a man should make enough money to take care of all the bills of the house. Anything your wife bring in is extra. That is my personal belief, but I don't think it's a role, right? I don't think it's a position that I have to play. Right. For instance, if we make a decision as a couple, right? What I'm saying is, like, if we make a decision as a couple, right, to get away from that patriarchal philosophy of that. For instance, like my idea about staying home and the dad being the caregiver because of financial reasons. Is he not a man because he is stay at home as a stay-at-home father? Right. And so I think we have expectations for a man, but I think those have to be moldable. I think it has to be moldable. We can't just say this is what you should be doing as a man, because that might not fit your situation. And who?
Keith,
you hear me? If you're at home, the kids are fed. They reading their books. You got dinner ready, the clothes done. I think you have just as much value as a man doing that as you do at that 9 to 5 where you wasn't getting enough to pay for your child care. It's my opinion.
Okay, let me ask you this then. So you're saying like you have two boys. So when you're raising them to be a man, what are you teaching them as what a man should and shouldn't do then, or should they
So,
do everything?
and that's what I'm getting to. I think I teach them. I teach them the entire gamut, and that's why I say these are my expectations for you as a man, right? But I can't control when you become a man how that's going to change for you based on the relationship, the roles. That's the coupling that you get into. For instance, I think it also comes down to we believe the man should be like let's take it a little further. The man should be the disciplinarian, and the mom should be the nurturer. And I think that's a problem with some of our black young men is that we as young and me and Kevin have talked about this in our podcast about fatherhood, about how we realize we have to balance. We have to also be nurturers, right? We just can't always be a disciplinarian. And me now, and basically as a single, and Kevin as well as single fathers, right? When KJ and Eli come to me and Caleb go to Kevin, we have to balance that disciplinarian part of us with the nurturing side of us because now mom's not there when the time that we have them, so we have to nurture and discipline. We struggle. I don't know about Kevin, but I struggle with that and finding a balance for that because I have to now be a nurturer and a disciplinarian. And so I teach them all. This is what I believe a man should and shouldn't do. But I can't put those as roles because I don't know how you and your partner are going to address that. I can't determine that. This is what I believe. But when you get your partner, y'all need to sit down and make those decisions. What are you going to do? What you going to do? Who going to pay the bills? Who going to do finance? I mean, that's up to y'all. That's why I don't believe in gender roles because I think it's up to the couple. What works for you and your family?
So I have you want to say something, Brandy?
No, I was just what Keith was talking about as far as the aspect of if the quote unquote gender roles are swapped and the man is at home. In a previous marriage, my ex-husband starting out, he did stay home. He was that person. He was cooking. He was cleaning. He was taking care of the kids until he was able to get himself in a financial situation to be able to add to the finances. So I understand from that aspect, but then again, it's still that important conversation is saying, hey, well, right now I'm bringing in the money. That doesn't make you any less of a man.
Yes.
Because you don't. And I think sometimes that is the key thing, even as women, as far as me anyway, as being a single mother, having to relinquish, if that makes sense, some of my independency or that I'm just my chest out about everything because it was just me and my kids. So now I have a helpmate. I don't want you to feel less than or any less than needed or any less than worthy because I might make more money than you or I might be providing and you're quote unquote the stay-at-home father. That role is a specific and important role in itself. So again, it goes back to that conversation and what works best for you and not letting those outside voices be bigger than what the conversation was that you and your partner had.
Yeah, because and I 100% agree with you. If and tell me if I'm wrong, Brandy, but in your Jermaine's relationship, it's the gender role, and this is what I was trying to say, Kevin. The only gender role is mother and father. I think the rest of them are just roles, right? It has nothing to do with gender, just roles, right? Who's ever, like, for instance, there's a lot of people that you think about, like Anisha and Brandy's parents. The mom was the finances, but in general, the man usually is over the finances. So I think it's just what works, the roles that work best for your relationship. And I can't speak to that. I can't say this is what a man. No, what works best for your relationship. Mm-hmm. That's what it's about. And that's why I say I don't believe in gender roles. That's why, because I can't come into a situation and say, I'm the man, so I'm going to be over the finances. No, she may be a better accountant than I am. I'm the reason why we broke. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't make that decision just because I'm a man. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just all I'm saying, Kevin.
So another question. Sorry. Okay, let's say the woman is, she doesn't work. She stays at home. but the man is the breadwinner. He goes to work and he brings in like the money and gives it to the mom. Do you expect things from her from being at home all day? Because technically that would be a gender role.
So I was finna get into that. I got that. I totally agree, and I was finna get into a scenario I was gonna throw out there because I've had an argument with people about this. So let's go down the gender role path, right? Let's say it was decided the man was gonna do those male gender roles, the woman was gonna do those woman gender roles, right? This scenario, like Anisha said, are the expectations when you come home from the other mate. For instance, some people say when a man come home from working all day, he needs to relieve the wife from the kids because she had the kids all day. Right? How y'all feel about that? I want to know about like that scenario. So when a man comes home, let's say the gender roles are established, and when he comes home, what's that happens once the man comes home from work? What's the expectations there?
You asking me?
Whoever. What's the expectation? What's that expectation?
Okay. I'm gonna answer Anisha, and then I'm gonna answer you because she talked about the expectations for the wife. Is there like you talk about when she's at home, like certain things that should be done, right?
Yes, you at work all day, and then you come home, and I should say back then, when the man came home, his food should have been straight on the table because she knew what time he came home. Cooking, cleaning, the house should be nice and neat. But you come home and it's not like that.
Should you be frustrated and mad? Should you be mad? Like honestly, should you be mad?
That's the gender role.
But for me, it's not a gender role. It's still a role, right? It's still like, hey,
no. We're saying the gender roles. That's the gender role that was established. The man do the man thing, the woman do the woman thing. Now you come home. Do you expect that stuff like this?
Yes. So the issue is now not with the roles. It's with you not holding your end of the bargain. That's different, right?
Because that was your role.
If you come to an agreement that this is what we're gonna do in this relationship, and you're not cutting us, and you're not doing your piece. I'm gonna be personal, but
wait a minute. Wait, so see, that's my problem though. Like, let's just talk about sports.
What I'm saying has nothing to do with gender, though. That's what I'm saying.
But we're saying that the gender role.
Flip it though. Like Brandy said, her ex-husband stayed at home. She came home and he didn't have anything. She would have the right to be mad. It has nothing to do with his gender. It's the fact that there was an agreement that you did not fulfill. That's a problem. And now, with your instance about coming home and taking over the kids, hey, parenting is 50-50. Now, you should be like, now, if she needs time away from the kids, but when I come home with KJ and Elijah, I was all in. Like it wasn't about relieving my spouse. So it was about when I come home, I'm daddy. I'm dad. Like
but if I could say though, and I don't want to speak for all women, but a lot of women, like I'm gonna say a lot of women, some women believe that pretty much we both on 9 to 5s, right? We both on 9 to 5. When you come home, you got to take the kids and give me a break. And I don't see. And I'm just gonna say it from my point of view. I don't see the fairness in that. I just don't see the fairness either. Now, when I come home, I do want to engage my kids and be with my kids, and I think at that point in time, it shouldn't just be, Kevin, you take over all the kid duties. It should be like we gonna tag team this, right? If you need a break because you've been with them all day, then let me take them off your hands for a couple hours so you can relax it. But then, like when things gotta be done for the kid, like we come back together, we tag team it. Some women believe at 9 to 5 when you come in, like your role, you take the kids. I had the kids all day. Now you take the kids. I don't see the fairness in that. And that's just me. I don't see the fairness in that. Ladies?
But I think, again, that's one of those conversation pieces because, I mean, to flip it a little bit for, like I said, if I come home. Well, our kids are a lot older, so this kind of doesn't play into it, but I get the concept of I've been at home all day. I've been cooking. I've been cleaning. I've been dealing with the kids. My mindset, if I must be transparent about it, you walking through that door, I'm going to give you a little bit of time to rest yourself. All right, now here, come get your kids. Let me go on in here and be about me and my business for a little while, and I'm going to come back out. But yes, I'm going to give you some time to, unwind. But yeah, come on, get your kids for a little bit.
Yeah. But you know what it comes down to, Kevin, and it's on both sides, is not valuing the work of the other.
Absolutely.
Because so often there's arguments about who working hard, whose job's harder. I've been working at the factory all day, and I've been working with the kids. Like, let me help you out with something, man. Help me out with something. Taking care of kids all day is hard. I'm a principal of 900 some kids. I couldn't imagine being a stay-at-home parent. Like, I could not, like, that would be hell. I think I think we start to take value. I think gender roles start taking value out of the home, like the work at home, right? And I think when you start devaluing your other person's responsibilities, I think that's where that happens, right? That person is putting just as much work in at home with those kids as you're doing in that factory, and but vice versa, right? Just because I'm getting out of this factory and I've been working all day, you've been with the kids, I may be just as exhausted. So let's tag team this thing. That's why I agree with Kavanaugh. So let's tag team this thing because I may be just as exhausted. So I think the job is 24/7 for both of you. I think so many people think, oh, my job ends at 5:00. No, it's 20. When you got kids, it's 24/7. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You don't get the rest.
I think both male and female we both have expectations. All right, I think that's a human trait to where we do something, we expect something in return. And one thing of that, and this for men, some men feel like when they come home, they win the bread, they do all that they should come home to the meal and to be able to relax and to have special time with their woman. That's an expectation. I think some women's roles are to, when a man come home, for him to relieve and let her relaxing. So my question is, how do you balance that dynamic? Both have expectations and they want certain things based on what they're doing in the home, right? Or what they're doing for the home. A lot of relationships end when those expectations or those wants and needs aren't met. Mm-hmm. If you could tell anybody out there right now listening how to balance those expectations, what would you tell them? How do you balance those expectations from your mate?
I think it's about just having that conversation. If someone can be thinking that they're doing something right the whole entire time, but their spouse is saying, well, you like it in this area. If
okay,
you're not,
can I throw something at you real quick? What if your conversation isn't accepted?
As far as like they just,
so you expect something and the person say, well, I'm blah blah blah, I can't do it, or something like that. Then now what?
Then you knock them upside the head. No, I'm just saying. Then that's a serious conversation, and like you're not accepting what I'm saying. I'm coming to you. I'm expressing to you. This is how I'm feeling at this moment, and you're dismissing it like it's nothing. So then, what's the problem? Can we come to a common ground? Like, what's the issue? Because you're not going to just dismiss me like that. Because I don't dismiss you like that.
Yeah, I think all of us on here have been in previous relationships, and we can all say that number one reason why those relationships probably the foundation of the ending of those relationships is communication, right? If you're not communicating effectively prior to the union, you're gonna have some trouble. Because that's where you find out who the person are, and if you're compatible enough to understand and be able to know. So you got to talk those things out, and that's something I wish I would have did. Like, hey, like let's talk about some of this stuff before you get into those serious unions, because once you get stuck, that becomes the crux of a lot of arguments. And so I would say you can't be afraid to have conversation with your with your significant other. You can't. You got to be willing to say. You got to be willing to say it, and then you got to be willing to listen. One thing my counselor told therapist, I thought it was the best technique ever. I actually did it with my assistant principals one time. We was having an issue, but it's listen, share your feelings, share what you expect, share what you feel, and have the other person repeat what you said. What I heard you say was.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how you get the back and forth of like, okay, I know what you're saying. And they can say, no, that's not what, and I reiterate if they want to. But I think communication, I think you have to have those roles known
You said
going
roles.
into it.
You said roles, but I thought there wasn't no roles.
No,
I'm
that's
saying.
that's what. Did y'all tell Kevin that he's messing with what I said? I said there are roles, they're just not by gender. They're decided
the
by
devil's
the
advocate on this podcast.
I know, but it's decided by the group, and that's why I said you got to sit down and say, like for instance, I'm gonna bring y'all to it, right? So Kevin think he can cook, right? So who's gonna be the cook?
I don't think.
Who's the cook?
Kevin.
Okay, but most people will say the gender role to cook is the woman. But I'm saying what I'm saying is it has nothing to do with your gender. It has nothing to do with your gender. It's just a role that y'all decide on. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think you gotta communicate those things going into a what is something that you good at that I'm not, and vice versa. Like you good with the money, so you're gonna be over the money. You good at cooking, so you're gonna be over the cooking. I think you have to have those discussions ahead of time. And if you don't, you're gonna be a lot of fight. I'll tell you that right now.
And I totally agree. Like those communications are absolutely important because when me and my husband got married, we had conversations, but some of the things he always reminds me, like when we get into what we like to call our heated fellowships, did you count up the cost? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? He said, before you said I do, and we went down that list of yes and no's, did your yeses outweigh your no's? Did you count up the cost of everything that you would have to come in, sometimes relinquishing some things, sometimes meeting in the middle about some things, and sometimes just deciding to pick your battles about certain things? I came into my marriage with that quote unquote gender role. Oh, he's going to go to work. I was always a worker. So I knew I had help in that aspect. But when it came to the household and the kids, oh, I'm going to be the cook. I'm going to be the one who cleans. I'm going to do the laundry. And he had to tell me very sweetly, babe, don't touch my clothes. I don't like how you do laundry. So that's one of the gender roles that I just will not do. Jermaine Jackson will do his own laundry because he don't like how I do it. Fine by me. That's one less load of clothes I got to wash. Right. But it just, again, goes back to that important conversation. What are the non-negotiables? What are those things that we're just, this is what it is. This is how we're going to do it. You're going to be responsible for. I'm going to be responsible for. And at the end of the day, our household is going to be successful.
Mm-hmm. I got another scenario for y'all. What time we at? I got another scenario for y'all real quick. And I love talking about this scenario. We're going to talk about the independent woman real quick as it pertains to gender roles. All right, let's turn to roles, okay? So independent woman, she get her own. She has her own. She go to work. She does her own thing. She get a man. And I've seen, and if y'all say y'all have never seen this before, you're lying. She get a man and sit down and play video games all day, but then get mad because he ain't working, but she allow him to sit down and play video games all day. Can she get mad? Can she get mad that he's not doing what she says a man's supposed to be doing? Can she get mad at that?
Wait, so he's at home.
She is. I think her response, like women that say that, their response establishes a gender role. They say a man should be working. They establish that gender role. They get mad because he sits at home playing video games. I'm looking for a job, can't find none, but he's playing video games. like I told y'all before the other podcast, if you ain't making money playing video games, you need to be out working. If video games ain't bringing in dollars, you need to be working. But can she be mad? Can this independent woman who allowed this man not to work get mad because he's not working because she thinks he a man, he should find a job and the man should be working?
Now,
Is that fair?
was he working when they?
No,
So when they got together, he was just flat out not working at all.
he wasn't working. He was in between jobs, as they say.
He was. So that kind of is on her because she didn't have that serious conversation at that time. You can't get mad at him because technically he was stuck in his ways or his habits at that time. He probably wasn't serious about looking for a job, but telling her what she wanted to hear at the moment to get her.
Yeah, for me, if gender roles are outdated, then you can't throw that gender role on him and tell him he need to go find a job because a man should be working. If they're outdated, right?
Now is she struggling? Because she the only breadwinner. Is she struggling?
That's neither here nor there.
So here my thing though. My thing is
Just gonna get off if he playing that video game.
right. So I want to say I get what you're saying, but in that context, bro gotta go, right? Bro gotta go. But you always gotta think like outside that context. Is he contributing to the relationship? I'm not talking about your video game player, that man who's like not working. Like how is he contributing to the relationship? If he ain't contributing, he gotta go. I think in any situation, if they're not contributing, I think that's a problem. But I want to bring up a phrase that I hope we adopt as a culture and as a society. And so we talk about this independent woman movement, right? I'm glad you brought it up. But I want everybody to be independently dependent. Don't sound right, do it. I want everybody to be independently dependent, meaning I want you to have be your own person, be your own self, be who you are. But let's do this thing together. Let's do this thing together. You, I'm me, but let's be independently dependent. I'm not asking you to sacrifice who you are, your career, your whatever. I'm not your independence for our let's unify our independence and be independently dependent. Like let's work this thing out together, right? And it's so often like I got my own this, I got my own that. I don't need nobody. It's not. It shouldn't be about that, right? That's for you. That's for you to know that you for your character or whatever about you to say like I can stand on my own. But it is okay to lean on somebody every once in a while, right? That's okay. It's okay to lean on somebody. Let's just be independently dependent. But if a dude is sitting on his butt playing video games, not contributing, because a lot of those dudes who sit on their butt, they ain't cleaning, they ain't cooking, they ain't doing nothing. I went out and looked for a job today. They probably go look for a job twice a week, and they go back to playing Madden. Oh, you can't get mad. You can't be mad about it, especially if you don't do anything about it, right? If you're allowing that, don't yell at me playing my video game. You didn't say nothing yesterday. You didn't say nothing last month when I was doing this. But if you're letting me doing this and saying, "Look, hey, bro, you got to get out," then you can't. In my opinion, I don't think you can get mad. If you're allowing them to stay there and do that, I don't think you can be mad. That's male or female.
What about, well, I've seen this before where, let's just use the same guy that was at home playing video games. And the wife comes home and says, I have some leads for you. But she gives him the leads, but does that make him feel like less of a man because now his wife is finding work for him when he could have been doing it to begin with?
A fire under him and tell him that he
got a character flaw.
So this is my thing, but this is my whole thing with this whole process is. Did you want to say something, Brandy? I don't want to.
No. I was just saying, and that question that she posed was a good question because I was that person. Like, if you're not gonna help yourself, come on, baby, let me help you help us.
Give you a little push.
And it did turn into a back. Well, I can find my own job, but then my mouth is a little bit better than it used to be. Well, if you can find a job, why you ain't found the job? I understand you want to perfect this video game here, but that's not bringing in the check. I need you to go do something. So if I could fill out the application for you, hey, your phone gonna ring. Just tell them, yeah, it was you. Let's, whatever. But it does, I think sometimes in that instance, like she said, does that take away from? Because my situation, his thought process, oh, well, she looking at me like I'm one of her kids.
Right.
You acting like one.
He got a character flaw, right? Because let's take Kevin gender role and answer. A man should work. If I'm in between jobs, I'm playing my video game, and my woman come on and was like, man, they hired episodes. I'm like, straight up, with the application at? Because I have whatever role Kevin is saying that we should have. My goal is to work, right? And so if somebody throwing me a lead, I don't care if it's my wife, my mama, the woman down there, like, hey, let me go. So if they're not willing to accept that assistance, I think they just have a personality and a character flaw that they ain't got nothing to do with. That's something they need some therapy, because that's something they're gonna have to do it, because regardless if they get the job or not, there's something else there that creates a block to where you're offended by support. And so any man that would knock a woman for saying, hey, I saw this job, they hiring it, and saying, I don't need you to help me find them. Yeah, they got something else is wrong here. And so
Sorry.
Go ahead, Anisha.
I was gonna say, so he's saying it's a character flaw. Do you feel, okay, let's say the same guy, he came from a single parent home with mom, and women were nurturers, and she babied him because she can't teach him how to be a man.
We talked about this.
That's the gender part of it.
We talked about this in our free, like,
she can't teach him how to be a man. So as he gets older and older, it's like, oh, my mom used to do this for me. My mom used to do this for me. So when he gets into a relationship, it may look at like the outside with his girlfriend that he's lazy. He doesn't want to do anything, but his mom never pushed him to do that. So now his girlfriend, like, Dad, she nagging me. I'm trying, but he's really not trying. But in his mind, he think he is trying.
Because it's foreign to him. He's never seen that role of a man before. I can't be a man if I don't know what it is to be a man.
Same way.
Which is a character flaw.
His daughter had to be a woman.
There you go.
Or a little, like, sometimes they want them to play basketball and football, and they grow up to be like tomboys or something like that. Not saying it's all the time, but majority of the time that does happen. You can't teach, a dad can't teach a little girl how to grow up to be a young lady or a woman, as well as a mom can't teach her son how to be a man. There's just some things that gender role.
Absolutely. And that was one of the things when I was raising my boys. I can't teach you how to be a man, but I can raise you to be a good individual. I can raise you to be a good human being.
Bingo.
I can surround you with strong men so that you can have that father figure, mentor, man in front of you. But I'm gonna teach you, treat people the way that you want to be treated. Have kindness in your heart, things like that. You're not putting your hands on women. You're not just being disrespectful and out in the streets acting a fool. I can't teach you how to be a man. And it was one of those things where I would have girlfriends would come to me, Happy Father's Day. I'm not a father. I'm a mother. I never could receive or even understand that concept. Some people's mindsets are that, but for me, I can't teach you how to be a man, but I can usher you in the way to go and put you in front of some strong men that have been influential in my life. Hopefully they'll be able to do the same for you. So yeah, if you got that scenario that we've been talking about, what if he didn't have that? I don't know what it looks like to be a man. So how do you put that pressure on him to be a man if he doesn't know exactly what the tools for a man that are needed?
And he gets frustrated.
You want to go, Keith?
I'll let you go because you had something to say. I'll let you go.
So two things. First, I want to jump real quick to the whole independent woman thing, real quick. I just personally feel that you can't want something and then try to apply these expectations that Kevin feels that are expectation of roles of a man. You can't want something different then try to apply that on the back end. I just don't think that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think it's correct. But now, with what y'all was just talking about, every one of y'all said, I can't teach them how to be a man. Keep mentioning characteristics. Teaching a boy how to be a man is teaching him male characteristics and what he should and shouldn't do.
It's a gender role. Don't you gonna say?
Isn't that a gender role? Is
No.
that a gender role?
I mean, I was waiting for you to say it. Absolutely not. Now, I'm gonna explain why. So you saying that it's gender role. Characteristics, gender roles are two different things. Gender role, a role is it's a part you play between two groups to do something. Now, when I say a characteristic, there's some certain things that I teach my boys. This is the expectation of you as a young man, right? But when it comes to getting into a relationship, into a let's just say a relationship, that I've trained you up to be a man of character. Hold on. I trained you up to be a man of character, to do this, to fight, not to fight, but to like, I teach you how to do all this stuff that you would consider uh, manly, right? But when it comes to roles, right? If my wife is a master carpenter, right? Let's say she good with wood, she good with tools, and she want to fix something, and we have an agreement within our relationship that that's the role that she's taking in our relationship. That's what I'm saying. It can't be based on gender, right? I can raise you with characteristics that I believe that a man should have. I can raise you with those characteristics. Like, for instance, our mom, single mom, raised five of us, five boys, one girl. And she put us around men in our life that showed us what it means to be a upstanding man, to honor women, to do all those things. We got those pieces from men outside. But those aren't roles. Those are characteristics that were instilled inside of us. With those characteristics, we've learned that it's okay to come together and decide on roles, right? I don't have to always be the person who is like, you might have a person like a wife to be like, I'll take out the garbage and you wash the dishes. Cool, right? Like that's okay. We've learned how to communicate with our significant other to define those roles. It isn't based on gender. We got characteristics that we go with that a man you should have a man a character, more aptitude, to be strong, to be chivalrous. Those are characteristics we've been instilled with, but those aren't roles. I'm not playing a role. It's a characteristic.
So what if your characteristic? I know we getting long on this, but I know what if our characteristic, we have a certain characteristic, but when your mate comes in and challenges that characteristic, what happens then? What happens there? What happens at that point?
Should have communicated before they became your mate.
So
that's what I'm saying. That's why the communication has to start at the beginning.
So, for instance, if I'm a guy, a strong-willed guy, and I like to do stuff around the house, and that's how I always been, and yet we get in a relationship, and then my mate starts doing all that stuff, and now I feel some men, not me, might feel less than a man because I'm not doing these things, because that's why I was my characteristics is to do that and to do certain things and feel a certain way. It rubs against it. What happens then, though, when the ego get checked? I know that's a personal thing when your ego get checked. That's a whole different story. You see what I'm saying, though? Like, it's a lot of dynamics to things. Now, I want everybody out there listening to understand, I am playing devil's advocate on this podcast. Like, don't kill me. Like, I'm playing devil's advocate, all right? I'm playing devil's advocate. But I have to, because some people truly believe in this stuff, right? Some people truly believe that women do this, men do this, period. There's no give and take. And a lot of it, like you said, it's historical. It is like how our parents were brought up. It is patriarchal and all that stuff. But it's still alive. It's still very
It is
well
100%.
here. But one thing I do hold on to, and I would never flinch on this, and I believe it. I personally just believe there's certain things I will hold men to do at all times. If I see a man not doing these certain things in front of me, I will feel a certain way. I'll be like, this dude a bum. I don't know the dynamic of their relationship, but in my
So
mind,
you've been
I'm
just
thinking he's a bum. This is my thought process. But go ahead, Denise. I think you said something.
Okay. Say a guy and a girl are going out on a date. They're not official. They're just going out on a date. Who should pay?
The man. Okay. Depends. Listen, I'm being clear. And this is Kevin Gender Role talking. A man should pay every time.
And why?
That's my why.
So
If it's not a gender thing.
Because Kevin believes a man should pay every time.
But I don't even know if that's a gender role, Kevin. When I think about it, I think it's what me and you have. We've had our issues with relationship. One thing we believe in is chivalry, and I think it's a chivalrous code to pay. Right? Even when I was married, it was hard for me to relinquish not paying. Even in marriage, I'm going to like even in marriage. It's the same. The money coming out the same bank account. But it was still hard. It was like a level of chivalry to like, you shouldn't have to reach for that. So I think that's more of a chivalry than it is a role. It's like we believe, I will never stop that belief. I think a woman, you should never go Dutch. You should, the man, that's just a belief I have. But I think that's more, even if it's a bad day, I'm still going to pay and tip well. Even if it's a bad day. But I think that's more of a chivalry than it is a role. You see what I'm saying? That's chivalry.
Man, we gotta go. Wasn't chivalry created off gender roles, though? Wasn't chivalry initially created off gender roles?
That's where I was getting at.
It was initially created off gender roles.
100%. But what I'm saying is, it's just that you have that belief, but that it was a knight's code, right? It was this knight's code and only men could be knights, so of course. But I think for us, it's been ingrained as this romanticized gesture, right? It's more. I don't know if it's more of a role than it's a romanticized gesture. You shouldn't have to reach for that. You shouldn't have to pay. I got you. It's romanticized, and that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, those codes are right, but I think that's more. To us, it's more romanticized than it is.
Not to all men, not to all people, because some people can care. Like Snoop did on BMF, we told them to split that check in half.
I've been on bad days, and nope, still paying.
Yeah, but once again, a disclaimer.
Before we go, also, if you're taking a woman on a date, I'm gonna say this, and I believe this too, and this is part of that code too. I don't think it's a role. You can't tell them what to get off the menu either. You can't have no budget when you're going on a date.
We could talk about that at another time, but I have a feeling about that. But I agree with you to an extent. Anybody got anything to say before we close out?
They're ordering $300 steaks, and they can't afford it themselves, but they expect.
Why you go to that restaurant? Should have went to Outback.
Hey, anybody got something to say before we close out of here, man, on gender roles? Anybody got any last comments? Don't be afraid to close it out, you know. I'm going to come up with
our guests were coming on
the show.
It's been
absolutely.
Thank you for having me. Just to hear everybody's insight on certain things. It's just, been eye opener. I'm one of those people. I like to push the button. We going out. I'll pull out his chair just to get a reaction out of him. Open the door for him. Come on, babe. He be like, girl, if you don't go. But I mean, I get it from what society says a man and a woman should do. But again, it goes back to, like we talked about, that communication. Whatever works for you in your relationship, that's yours.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I want to thank y'all for coming on because, Kevin, to be honest with you, I don't know if this discussion could be the way it was without these two women on the show. I think me and you, we had debated back and forth, but having that insight a woman's perspective on gender roles. I think made it a more hearty discussion, and made it more relatable, and it's going to make it more relatable to people. So I just appreciate y'all for coming on, giving us y'all an hour and a little change to do this. But it was great getting y'all perspectives on this topic as well.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all too. Thanks for y'all coming on. And I just want to put this last disclaimer. Y'all know how this podcast works. I am a devil's advocate to create like don't kill me in the comments. Don't kill me in the comments, all that, man. Like now, be honest, I truly believe in some of the stuff I said though. Like I do believe men need to do specific things, but that's just my truth. But don't kill me, all right? But yeah, thank you our guests for coming on TuVues, man. We gonna jump up out of here. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Bye.
Yeah.